A really strong derailer to leader success is a lack of the skill of independence. In emotional intelligence, this is when you're not able to remain emotionally separate from someone else's experience. So anytime you hear yourself saying, I'm afraid they're not going to like it, I'm afraid they're not going to respond well, I'm afraid they're not going to like me because of what I have to say or what I have to do or the decision that needs to be made or the change that's coming down the pipeline. I'm afraid that they're not going to like something. And so in that experience, I find every possible way to either avoid it or downplay it or dismiss it entirely or get someone else to do it. And when we're in executive leadership, the last thing we can do is afford any derailment, because as soon as we are in the space of that flimsiness of leadership, we're losing respect, we're losing trust, we're losing loyalty. And it's going to be really hard to rally people around visions and goals if they're not actually following us. So what do we do? What do you do when you're in that space as a leader? The first thing you have to do is emotional self-awareness. You have to understand how you're creating your own emotions. And that's the thing. In every situation of friction that you're experiencing, you're always going to have to look inward. You're always going to have to find your rub point, your friction line, your fault line. When you do, you're going to notice a vulnerability that exists. And then the work, the inner engineering, is to repair, heal, build the vulnerability. When we do that, especially around the skill of independence, what you end up learning to do is to separate yourself from the other person's emotional experience, which doesn't mean that you don't care about them, which doesn't mean that you aren't careful with your words, which doesn't mean that you aren't kind in how you communicate. It does mean, however, that you do the thing that needs to be done.